it's kind of been one of those weeks. It's, it's been interesting. I've been really tired a lot as a result, which sucks, but, it's getting better. Today we're going to be playing laser tag.
We forever are. We are magic.
Okay, so a little while ago I had the most epic, ridiculous dream. In my dream, I was in my friend Elfie's house. I was actually laying in her bed. Elfie is one of my best friends from high school. And so I was laying there flipping through channels on her TV, and I noticed out of the corner of my eye, outside the window, there was a guy freaking strung up in the tree, and there were these two guys beating the shit out of him. At this point, I noticed that these guys, that they're Mexican, but I remember thinking, I can't call them that because that would be racist. And they didn't notice me. They didn't see me from the window. So I slid my way off the bed, and I got down, and I scooted into the corner, which was right under the window, to grab my phone. And right as I grabbed my phone, about to call 911, the guy who's not currently punching the shit out of this guy in the tree, he goes, "Boy, it sure is a good thing she hasn't noticed us," as he looks in the window and sees me holding my phone about to call 911. They turn and they pull AK-47s on me. And so I immediately take the phone, I throw it down, and I jump back onto the bed. I'm like, "Look, nothing's in my hand, nothing's in my hands, don't shoot." The window has been open the whole time, but with the screen, And so the other one pulls the corner of the screen up, and he pulls out a grenade. And he sticks his hand in, he holds it in front of my face, and he pulls out the pin, and he just drops it. So I pick it up, and I hold down the tab, because that's what you're supposed to do. It's what you do in movies, right? But it's still ticking. And yes, I know grenades don't tick, but this one did. It was a dream. Get over it. So I wait a minute. Not a minute, a few seconds, because, if you immediately throw the grenade back, then they're going to have time to pick it up and throw it back again, and then you're screwed. Apparently I had those thoughts in my dream. So I take the grenade, and I stick it out through the corner of the window where he got it in, and I chuck it along the side of the house. And they go flying after this grenade, and I realize that I threw it over by where the kitchen is. And I'm like, oh no, what if Daddy Smith is in there? Daddy Smith is what I call Elfie's dad. I grab my phone, of course. I run out, and I check the kitchen. It's completely empty, so I'm feeling a little bit better. And so once I know that nobody's in there to get hurt, I start calling 911, and I'm like, I feel kind of calm the way it's happening at this moment. And as soon as 911 picks up, I start freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's people in the AK-47s, and they threw a grenade at me, and oh my god. And then she's like, well, are you sure this isn't a dream? And I just go, of course it isn't a dream. What are you talking about? They're right there. I can see them. I'm hiding in that other room. And I'm like, hold on, I'm going to get closer, and I'm going to describe them to you. So I move into the other room, and I see them outside the sliding glass door. And I start describing them, and I avoid saying that they're Mexican because I thought that would be racist. And they're wearing, wife beaters, but the weird thing is they're wearing, sleeves, but they're black faux fur sleeves, gorilla arms. And I don't know why they were wearing those. It was really weird. So as I start describing them, they notice me, and one of them comes at me and he tackles me. And as I get knocked to the floor, I pull out a bow and arrow and I shoot him in the shoulder. I don't know where the bow and arrow came from. I don't know any of that, no. But I shot him in the shoulder with a bow and arrow. And that, my friends, was when the tables turned. I was in charge at that point. And so they're like, okay, don't worry, we're done. All of a sudden, in the front door comes their friends, a bunch of, very clearly Mexican guys. They come in, I was like, no, you don't mess with this. And And they're like, no, don't worry, we're not gonna mess with you or anything, don't worry. And they're like, well, can we just like go? I'm like, nuh-uh. I was like, I called the cops, they're on their way now, you better stay put. They're like, okay, I guess so. And so we start talking and we're like bullshitting like we're friends or something. And at one point I go, so like out of curiosity, where are you guys from? And they look at me and they go, really? You can't tell? I was like, oh, it's okay, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to be racist. They're like, yeah, I thought so. And so I've got the front door open and I'm looking out the front, just waiting for the cops to show up. And all of a sudden, up drives my mother, but not in the car she is now, but in her old Ford Taurus wagon that I grew up with. And so she drives up and parks in the front. And so I'm like, hold on, guys, I got this. So I walk out. I go up to her. She lowers the window, and I start talking to her. And she's like, hey, I just wanted to see how things are going. I was like, oh, everything's going well. There's no problems. And then those guys in the house, they're crowded around the front door. And she looks up and she sees them. And she goes, who are they? And I look up. I look back at her. I'm like, don't worry. They're just my Mexican Banditos. And she's like, okay, well, if you've got everything in hand. And I was like, don't worry, Mom. I shot one of them in the shoulder with a bow and arrow. And she's just like, okay. And she drives off. And I was just like, come on, Mom, I'm on top of things. And I yell at their car, and she's driving off. I shot one of them with a bow and arrow. And then I go back up to them, and they're like, well, who was that? I was like, oh, that was my mom. But yeah, that's pretty much my dream. And then I woke up like a minute later. But yeah, that was my dream. And don't worry, they're just my Mexican Banditos. Seriously, guys.